Welcome back to Cash and Sass, the podcast where we ditch the shame, talk real numbers, and build bold, bankable wealth without sacrificing who we are. I'm your host, Lisa Marie, fractional CFO, money mentor, and the sassy wealth queen behind Transcendent Wealth Co. And if you're ready to scale with strategy, own your power, and finally feel wealthy in every sense of the word, then I got news for you. You're in the right place. In this episode, we're talking about what it really means to move from financial fog into financial leadership and why that shift changes everything. So let's dive in. Now, here's something most people don't realize until they're already way past exhausted. Financial fog isn't just about confusion. It's about disconnection. Okay, so let that sink in. It's not about confusion, it's about disconnection. It's that feeling of running a business, making money, paying bills, and still feeling like you're reacting instead of leading. And over time, that reaction mode becomes your default. So, what does financial fog really look like, Lisa? Well, I'm going to tell you. Financial fog doesn't mean you don't look at your numbers at all. Actually, most people do. They look. They check their bank balance. They glance at transactions. They know what's roughly coming in, right? What's coming in. They know because it's got your revenue. It's all most people know everything there is to know about their revenue. But the fog shows up when you don't trust what you're seeing. So I'm going to say that again. The fog shows up when you don't trust what you're seeing. Now, what do I mean by that? You don't know what matters most with what you're looking at. You're not sure what it means when you're looking at, like meaning you're not trusting it. If it says this much money coming in, this much going out, you're not trusting what you're seeing, and you need to. You're unsure how today will connect to next week, next month, or the next 6 months. So money feels loud, not because it's bad, okay? Because money's not bad. It feels loud because it's unclear, because you don't know. And here's the part that really messes with people. You can be successful and foggy at the same time. Y'all, I've been there. On paper, been so successful. I've got clients who have been there, so successful on paper, and yet foggy in every sense of the word because they don't trust what they see and they don't know what's going on. So you can have good revenue, steady clients, growth on paper, and still feel uneasy. Again, I've been there. I've had all those things. 2024 and 2025 showed me that no matter how big we get or how long we've been into business, we can still hit those things. We can still have all these things, growth on paper, and still feel uneasy because there's fog. Okay. This is when we start questioning ourselves. And some of the questions that you'll start questioning yourselves: what am I missing? Why don't I feel more confident? Why does this feel so stressful? How many of you have asked yourselves that over the last year, over the last month, or I don't know, in the last couple of days? What I want you to realize, y'all, that's not failure. And so often we think it means that we're failing in some way. That's leadership without visibility. So it doesn't mean you're failing. It just means that's leadership without visibility. You don't have visibility on what's truly going on. So I want to clear something up. I want you to understand what financial leadership is not, okay? Because so often people think, oh, you're telling me I need to obsess over all these things and micromanage all these things. No, that is not what I'm saying, okay? So I want to make sure right here on this podcast, clear it up right now. Financial leadership is not obsessing over numbers, micromanaging every dollar, becoming rigid or restrictive. Okay, I do not believe in being so rigid and so restrictive over your money, because here's the thing, that becomes basically like one of those fad diets that, all the people have tried. I don't know, the butter buds, this shows my age. avoiding all sugar, avoiding all fat, whatever the thing is. And all that does is set you up for failure. So becoming rigid or restrictive, that's not leadership. Knowing everything all the time, that's not financial leadership. That version of leadership does nothing but burn people out, does nothing but burn creators, business owners, and entrepreneurs out. Okay. Same way when someone's on one of those fad diets, it does nothing but what? Burn them out. And that's why so many entrepreneurs avoid it. That's why so many creators and business owners avoid it. They don't want to turn into someone who's constantly stressed about money and still not knowing what's going on. So now, okay, Lisa, then what is financial leadership? I'm going to tell you. Financial leadership is about orientation. Okay, what do I mean about that? What I mean is it's knowing where you are, knowing what matters right now in the moment. And newsflash, that could be different for you versus different for me. Okay, so again, it's knowing where you are, knowing what matters right now, knowing what's already decided, knowing what's actually available. So again, trusting what you're seeing. What are you seeing? Knowing what's available. So just because that's in the bank, does that mean that's actually available? Or has it been allocated to something? Leadership doesn't mean certainty. Okay? Because one thing I've learned about entrepreneurship, sometimes there's just not going to be a lot of certainty. Okay? So that's not what leadership means. It means context. When you have context, decisions stop feeling heavy. You're no longer guessing. You're referencing. And it sounds so much better, right? So here's the shift that separates fog from leadership. Are you ready? People in financial fog will ask, can I afford this? Financial leaders ask, what does this decision support? Those are two very different questions. One comes from fear, the other comes from intention. And until you shift the question, the stress doesn't go away, even if revenue increases. So I'm going to say that again because I think that's really, really important. Until you shift the question, the stress does not go away, even if revenue increases. Avoidance feels protective in the moment. But if you don't look, because basically if you don't look, you don't have to decide, right? If we avoid it, then we just don't have to look at it. We don't have to decide. We don't have to acknowledge it. We just don't have to do anything with it. Okay, and all that's going to do is cause stress. And if you don't decide, you can't mess it up. Again, and if you can't mess it up, guess what we feel? We feel safe. But avoidance has a cost. Okay, because when you don't engage with your money intentionally, it still makes decisions for you. That is where a lot of clients come, I don't know where the money went. It just all disappeared. That's where bills decide. Timing decides. Urgency decides. Stress decides. And y'all, that's not leadership. That's reaction. So here's a practical shift I want you to take from this episode. Financial leadership doesn't start with a spreadsheet. Okay, you ready? Financial leadership doesn't start with a spreadsheet. It starts with one intentional check-in. Not everything, not all the numbers, not fixing it all, just this question. Are you ready for it? What does my money need from me right now? Not what you need from it. What it needs from you. Does it need some clarity, direction, a decision, attention? You asking that question immediately moves you out of fog and into leadership because you're shifting the way you're looking at the information. And the reason this works is because your nervous system doesn't need perfection. It needs participation. When you engage with your money intentionally instead of reactively, even if it's just briefly, your body stops bracing. It's not waiting for what's going to happen next. This is when that's why people, excuse me, say they feel calmer after working with me even before their numbers change, because they're starting to feel calmer. They're not bracing themselves. They're starting to look at everything intentionally. And that's because leadership soothes the uncertainty. So when you lead your money instead of avoiding it, decisions get easier, confidence compounds, money stops living rent-free in your head, and hello, I don't know about y'all, but I need stuff to stop living rent-free in my head, okay? Wealth starts to feel intentional, not accidental. And that's the shift. And it's a beautiful shift, because then you're realizing, holy crap, I know what's going on. I can intentionally build. This all makes sense. Now, here's the key. This does not happen overnight. This is not overnight, but it is sustainable. This happens so it becomes sustainable, okay? And that's something I have to remember, even as a fractional CFO and a money mentor. The things that we're doing to grow our business, the things that we do to manage our money, it's not accidental. It's not overnight. We're building it for it to be sustainable, okay? So this is the same thing with your money, sustainable. All right. This episode isn't asking you to become perfect with your money. What I'm doing is I'm inviting you to stop standing on the sidelines, because wealth isn't built by knowing everything. It's built by you being willing to engage consistently, honestly, and intentionally. That's how it's going to start. So until next time, remember, confidence and cash are the ultimate power duo. Go check in with your money, and as always, have a fantastic and wealthy day.